And we are live. Hello there, Carson Meredith with you from the Wave Now Studios on this toasty 5th of July. Hope you've had a good holiday weekend. Hopefully you've been able to stay cool. At least we haven't had much in the way of rain to talk about to spoil our holiday weekend plans. Hope everybody's doing good out there. We do have more unsettled weather on the way. Nothing to fret about. Quite honestly, it's typical summertime weather ahead. Over the next 10 days, it's going to be warm, borderline hot, muggy, and at times stormy. So that's really our big talker tonight in our discussion. But we will also talk about Chantal, Tropical Storm Chantal, right off the Carolina coast. And going to be a big rainmaker for Myrtle Beach and Wilmington and a good chunk of the Carolinas over the next 12 to 24 hours. So we'll give you an update on that. But let's get you outside, shall we? We'll go live to Spaghetti Junction. Not too bad. If you were watching us early this morning, around 5 or 6 o'clock, if you weren't, I don't blame you. It's a holiday weekend, right? But if you were, or maybe you saw it on social media, you saw that haze that just blanketed the city right around sunrise this morning. And yes, that was from fireworks smoke. The air quality got into the very unhealthy territory earlier this morning. And that does not happen very often except for 4th of July. And when you have a stagnant atmosphere like we had last night and this morning and really all day today, not much of a wind to keep the atmosphere stirred up, that's allowed that smoke to settle early this morning. But that smoke is long gone. And honestly, it's been hot, don't get me wrong, but it hasn't been a bad day. The humidity's been tolerable. If you were by the water, it was a great day to be at the pool or at the lake. Not too bad. Outside right now, it is still plenty hot. 93 is our current temperature, but those dew points are in the mid-60s. So that means the heat index is only a couple degrees higher than the actual air temperature. In other words, we have not had to deal with triple-digit feels-like temperatures today, which is always a good thing. Just good old-fashioned hot 4th of July weekend, right? Radar, at least in our area, has been pretty quiet today, as expected. There was one surprise shower, I guess you could say, that popped up right over Mumfordville about 2 hours ago, 5:15, 5:30. It's gone now. You do note those showers, really downpours, just west of Bowling Green this evening. That's where most of the action has been so far today. There's a little more juice down there, a little more humidity, a little more instability. That's kind of allowed those downpours to fire up across southern Kentucky. That's not going to be an issue for us tonight. Those will fade away as the sun goes down. They will not make it here. We'll watch Grayson and Hart County just to be super sure, but we're in good shape for the rest of this evening. But as we head into Sunday, that's when some of those downpours will sneak into our area. But it's not a washout at all. Here's the big picture. We're kind of sandwiched tonight in between two systems, the first of which is Chantal, such a fancy tropical storm name. You can see its circulation spinning right there off the South Carolina coast. Very lopsided storm. I'll explain what that means in a few minutes when we talk about Chantal in more detail. But further to the north and west, you note this frontal boundary. That is up near the Twin Cities, near Omaha, Nebraska. Got some rain moving towards Chicago tonight. And that cold front will get close enough on Monday to give us our highest rain chance over the next 10 days, at least at this stage of the game. The tropical storm is not an issue for us, but that front will get nearby by Monday, increasing our storm coverage. But the problem is that front doesn't sweep through. So that leaves the door open for warm, muggy air and those daily chances for showers and storms. But for now, a little bit of high pressure sandwiched in between those two systems is keeping us fairly quiet aside from those downpours across southern Kentucky tonight. Let's go to the comments, shall we? Who's watching tonight? It's a holiday weekend, so I figure the crowd might be a little lighter. That's okay. Weather Geek's here. Hello, hello. Holiday weekend's been good. Thank you. Hope yours has been as well, Weather Geek. Nathan's not working today, so we can watch live. We appreciate you watching on your day off, Nathan. ZK says, hey. On YouTube, Angela says, hi. It's a warm one today. There's no doubt about that. Sean is watching. Hello, hello. Anita, thank you for my fall countdown. 79 days away until the best season of the year, but I'm biased. Reagan says, good evening. It's real muggy. Yeah, that's probably the heat island that you're feeling in downtown. The further you go out of town, the less, I don't know, I don't want to say humid because the humidity levels technically aren't that bad, but the less, I don't know, the less miserable it feels, quite honestly. But the heat island, it traps more of that heat. It makes it feel hotter. It makes it feel more humid. So, yeah, that's probably what you're feeling tonight, Reagan, for sure. It might not be terribly humid, but you feel it, and it's still pretty hot, right? Kelly says, hi. No rain where Nathan's at. Yeah, a lot of us just stay dry tonight. Nicole says, hello from Madison. How's the regatta going up there? Good weather for it, right? Let's see. Kathy says, Carrollton and Madison have more fireworks tonight. We'll have to watch that. If we have more fireworks smoke, might mean some more air quality issues tomorrow morning. I don't think it'll be as bad as this morning, but we'll see. Anna, hello, hello. When are the 80s coming back? Well, if you're looking for like, mid-80s, I'm not so sure we'll see that for a while. I think we'll have upper 80s, which is normal for this time of year, but I'm not sure if we'll see mid-80s much anytime soon. So, very slow but steady weather pattern appears to be on the way. More comments later. Talk about tonight. Same old, same old. Mostly clear skies, but that humidity, as we've talked about, is going to keep climbing just a little bit. So it's going to be a little warmer tonight. 76 our forecast low. We're not going to cool down a whole lot in the city. We had quite a few 60s out there this morning. I don't expect to see as many 60s tomorrow morning. I think a lot of you will be in the low 70s when we wake up on Sunday. So here's Futurecast for tomorrow. As we mentioned, that humidity slowly inching back up, and that means that return of downpours. Not many, okay? If you have any outdoor plans on Sunday, if you're going to take a little road trip to the lake, if you're going to be by the pool, if you're going to fire up the grill, maybe you still have some fireworks left in your arsenal tomorrow evening, don't cancel those plans, okay? Tomorrow's not a washout at all. In fact, no day over the next 10 looks like a washout. But for tomorrow in particular, that humidity will climb just enough to give us that small chance for some afternoon downpours. This is around 1 o'clock. You can see a downpour, probably a downpour induced by the heat island, may pop up early afternoon over the metro, kind of drift its way into parts of Oldham and Shelby County. We'll see. But you notice how spotty and sporadic that shower coverage is tomorrow. So this should not be a big deal at all. I think a lot of you stay dry, a lot of you stay hot with those highs in the low 90s again, mid 90s here in Louisville. But we'll monitor that chance for at least some of those hit and miss downpours from, let's say, noon to 8. This is this is July in wave country. That's all this is. We get past 8 o'clock tomorrow night, lose the heat of the day, and we'll quiet things down. That front is still to our north and west tomorrow. It's a slow mover. These fronts this time of year do not have a lot of forward momentum with them because the synoptic or the big picture features in the atmosphere are not as strong this time of year. So that front's going to take its sweet time getting here. It's not going to arrive until sometime Monday. So that's why our rain chances tomorrow are fairly slim. So if you're heading out to the regatta, the last day of the regatta tomorrow, I think it's just the races tomorrow. The music festival ends tonight, which they got some good names up there in Madison for the music festival tonight. But for the racing at the regatta tomorrow, starting things off around 9 o'clock near 80 degrees, into the upper 80s around 1. Small chance for those afternoon downpours, 20%. Should not be a major problem. But don't be surprised if you look off in the distance up in Madison and you see maybe a darker cloud. Could there be some lightning? Yes. But I think the main issue is just going to be brief, heavy rain with these downpours tomorrow. High of 91, by the way, up in Madison on Sunday. All right, so we've got Sunday done. Let's talk about Monday. That front will still likely be hung up northwest of us on Monday, basically into central Indiana. Indianapolis draping down towards Evansville, kind of curling its way back up into central Illinois. But it's still going to be close enough to give us that push we need, that force we need in the atmosphere to get more showers and storms going Monday afternoon, especially. So as we go through Futurecast, you notice Monday morning we're all heading back from the holiday weekend to work. Looks fine. No big deal. Mid-70s, warm, muggy, but no rain. We go into the afternoon. This is 3 o'clock, and you see those downpours are more widespread. Now, I will tell you, looking over the high-res models today, the storm coverage on Monday is a smidge lower, just a smidge. So there may be a possibility that I can drop these storm chances for Monday to about 40% as opposed to 60%. I'm not ready to do that just yet. I want to see more high resolution, more specific model data, and we'll get that tonight and throughout the day tomorrow. But this is not a big deal either. There's just going to be more scattered storms on Monday compared to Sunday with that front nearby. Main issue is going to be heavy rain and lightning. I do think there will be a little more lightning on Monday. Could some of these storms have a little wind with them? Yes, mainly because that front, as we mentioned, is going to give a little more force, a little more push in the atmosphere for these storms to get going. So there might be 1 or 2 rogue strong storms Monday afternoon with some gusty winds, 40, 50, maybe 60 miles an hour. Even then, that chance is pretty slim, okay? So more than anything else, I think it's just heavy downpours throughout the afternoon on Monday. And you guys know the drill. We lose the heat of the day, and most of those downpours fade. So that's the story for Monday. More storms, still not a washout. Heavy rain, lightning, perhaps some wind. Okay? That's how Monday is shaping up at this point. Back to the comments we go. Kathy's not a fan of the heat and humidity. It's miserable up in Trimble County. Feels kind of, you're socked in, right? Feels kind of soupy a little bit. It's not terribly humid, but it's still noticeable for sure. Kelly says, anything looking severe this week? If we're going to have any severe weather, it's going to be these storms that pulse up and you get a downburst. In other words, you get a big gust of wind when the storm falls apart. It's like its last gasp, right? That's the only severe weather potential I see. Are we looking at organized severe weather? Not right now. Not at this point. There's no alert days at this point. Let's hope that trend continues. I think this is the longest stretch of no alert days we've had all year. I hope I didn't just jinx it. If I did, the rest of the team will get mad at me. That's fine. But yeah, I think if we're going to see severe weather, it would just be 1 or 2 severe thunderstorm warnings each afternoon. And that's pretty typical for this time of year. I do have a caveat with that I'll explain in a second, though. But I do not see a huge severe threat this week, Kelly. Long story short. Jazzy Panda 96 on YouTube. How's Kings Island looking for Monday? Pretty much the same as here. Hit and miss storms during the afternoon. If you look up near the top of the map where it says Covington, that kind of gives you a general idea of what you might see up there in Ohio. Very hit and miss downpours. You're going to need to watch for lightning with these downpours as they roll through Monday afternoon. But I personally don't think it's enough to cancel your Kings Island plans on Monday. They just may have to close the rides for a little bit. They might make you guys run into one of the restaurants or something like that, and then in 30 minutes you'll be good to go. So that's kind of how I see things playing out up in Kings Island on Monday. Hope that helps plan for you. Kathy is ready for some snow. I bet a lot of you are. Will we have a temperature inversion again tonight, kind of dreading that fireworks smoke? Yeah, it's going to be pretty stable tonight, and the wind's going to be light like it was last night. So if we do have more fireworks tonight, we may have another smoky start on Sunday. Now, well, I was going to say being the 5th of July, there may not be quite as many fireworks, but at the same time, I know there's a lot of towns that are doing their fireworks tonight as well. So it's kind of a wait-and-see game tonight with that smoke potential compared to last night. Just depends on how many of you guys still have fireworks left in the arsenal, right? Let's see. Connie, thanks for the update. Of course, that's what we're here for. Linda, yay fall. Yes. Yes. I like your thinking. John says, hey, how was the 4th? It was good. I had the day off yesterday, so it was nice to just rest and take it easy. Storm Chaser Jason, birthday's tomorrow. Happy early birthday, Jason. Everybody say happy birthday. Hope it's not a complete washout. Not at all. Not at all. Just a few pop-ups tomorrow. 20% chance. That's it. Let's see. Sean to Dustin Lynch in Madison tonight. Yeah, he's good. Yeah, a couple years ago, I went down to the Opry in Nashville, and I got to hear him in person. He's good. I like him. Here's a good question from S. Dell on YouTube. Are there any drought reports yet? We are technically not in a drought status yet, but I will tell you, if we don't get decent amounts of rain over the next couple of weeks, we may go into a drought. I don't think it would be an extreme drought or anything like that, given how insanely wet the start of the year was, but things are starting to dry up just a little bit. We're okay for now, but we definitely have to watch it in the days and weeks to come. Let's see. ZK, when are these showers supposed to start? Both days. Tomorrow and Monday, I would say as early as noon. There could be a few downpours popping up, and then they'll start to fade around 8 or 9 o'clock. But again, not everybody's going to see these, especially tomorrow. I think a lot of you stay dry tomorrow. Monday, there will be more, as you see here on Futurecast. But even then, there will still be plenty of dry time, too. Travis, Hardin County Fair tomorrow. How we looking? Looks fine. Just watch for darker clouds overhead or nearby. You see a darker cloud, pop up the Wave Weather app, check the radar. Make sure that downpour doesn't have any lightning with it. But even then, again, a lot of us stay dry tomorrow, so don't cancel your plans. All right, let's keep it moving, shall we? Let's talk about the rest of the week. So we've taken a deep dive into tomorrow and Monday. But as we mentioned, that front, it's going to get here, but it's not going to move through. In fact, it's going to start to, let's see, by Tuesday, the front will basically be along I-64. Okay? Wednesday, that front retreats back to the north, and that leaves the door open for a warm, muggy air mass to stay in place. And you're going to have these little disturbances in the atmosphere just kind of right along that stalled front. And that sets the stage for those daily chances for showers and storms next week. Now, you're going to ask me which day looks to be the wettest, which days look to be the driest. And if you look at each individual model, you'll get completely different answers at this point. So we kind of have to go with a basic middle-of-the-road message for you guys, that there's going to be that chance for scattered storms each day next week. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. There are some indications as we get towards late Friday and possibly in next weekend that we could briefly dry out. I say that very cautiously because the timing is still all over the place for next weekend, as far as if we'll get dry time or not. And the wild card that's going to decide next weekend is this next frontal boundary that moves in about a week. This is the European model. It has this front arriving on July 13th or 14th. The GFS, or the American model, has this boundary front, whatever you might want to call it. It has it arriving on the 12th or the 13th. So that's a 24-hour difference. And that could make a huge difference as to whether or not we get a little window of mostly dry time next weekend or not. I still don't think any day's a washout, okay, at all. But we're going to have at least that 30 to 40% chance for those scattered storms every day next week. Hopefully we can tighten up and clean up those storm chance percentages as we get closer. And we'll be able to do that, but not at this point. We've got the PGA Tour in Louisville next week. It's not the PGA Championship, but it's still a FedEx Cup event, which is like their championship tour that they have throughout the year. The ISCO Championship out at Hurstbourne. Again, right now we're just going to go middle of the road, say 40% chance for scattered storms across the board for the championship next week. Thursday through Sunday, highs in the mid to upper 80s each day out at Hurstbourne. So if you're going to be heading out to check out that tournament, just stay tuned for more specific details as to which days are trending drier and which days might be trending a little wetter. Just too early to call at this point which is drier, which is wetter, so we'll go right down the middle of the road and say 40% across the board for the ISCO Championship next week. All right, last but not least, we'll talk tropics. Here's Chantal. Everybody say hi to Chantal. We were talking about this system last weekend, how it was going to make for a wet week in Florida, which it did. You can see rain still falling in Florida tonight. But there was always the question of would it become an actual tropical system, and sure enough it has. You could tell pretty clearly where the core of Chantal is. It's off the Carolina coast. This is a lopsided tropical storm. And what that means is you've got the low pressure, the center of the low is right here, and a majority of the precipitation is on the northeast side of it. Whereas to the west, you're just getting these outer rain bands, like so, that are already lashing up into Charleston, Columbia, Myrtle Beach, Wilmington, and even up into Raleigh, North Carolina as well. So in this kind of a setup, when you've got a lopsided storm like this, that cuts down on the heavy rain amount because only one chunk of the area is going to be seeing that steadier, heavier rain, right? But even so, this is not a major apocalyptic hurricane or anything like that. 45-mile-an-hour winds. The center is about 100 miles southeast of Charleston. I was supposed to say Charleston, South Carolina, but that gets cut off, obviously. As we put the latest track for the National Hurricane Center, you can see it'll make landfall as a tropical storm tonight, overnight tonight, officially, near Georgetown, South Carolina, which is between Charleston and Myrtle Beach, if you're not familiar with that area. You can see the areas in yellow right here. That is a tropical storm warning. And the area in blue is a tropical storm watch that is in place all the way up into Wilmington, North Carolina. Now, this system is going to weaken very quickly as it moves inland, so those peak wind gusts are going to be right on the coast. Shouldn't cause any major problems. Maybe knock down some trees, briefly knock out power if those trees fall in a line. But it's not a situation where folks are going to have to evacuate or anything like that. The main issue with Chantal is going to be rain, with folks up near Myrtle Beach, Wilmington, up towards Darlington, South Carolina, for race fans that are familiar with that town. Up towards Raleigh as well. Could pick up about 2 to 4 inches of rain tonight and into tomorrow. So if you know anybody down there, just make sure they know that, hey, there is a tropical storm coming in. You don't need to evacuate, but there's going to be a lot of rain. And by Sunday afternoon, the worst of the weather from Chantal will be gone. And quite honestly, we probably won't be talking about it tomorrow night because that system will weaken rather quickly. But it is the first tropical system to impact the U.S. this year, so it was worth mentioning. Here's the 10-day. Get in your questions now before we wrap up our chat tonight. It looks worse than it really is. Trust me. Tomorrow's probably going to be the driest day we have for a bit. And even then, there will be a few downpours around. And then we get into more of that typical temperatures, upper 80s, low 90s, warm, muggy, with scattered storms each afternoon. Highest storm chances right now look to be Monday. And like we talked about, once we get more specific timing details ironed out for the long term, heading into late next week and next weekend, we should be able to adjust those storm chances accordingly. But until then, I'll just keep it at a 30 or 40% chance across the board, starting Tuesday and going into the following Tuesday. That's all I got, guys. This is pretty ho-hum for July standards. By the way, our average high is 89. So we'll be near that ballpark once we get past tomorrow and Monday. I will say if Monday storm coverage is lower, we may be able to make a quick surge into the mid-90s again Monday afternoon. I'm not confident enough to say that just yet, but I do think we'll be back in the low 90s before those storms do get going on Monday. Let's see here. Travis, Hardin County Fair starts Monday. Okay, no problem. There will be more storms to dodge on Monday afternoon. I'll say that. There will be more to dodge. Not enough to, not enough to shut down the fair on this first day or anything like that, but just make sure everybody's aware, and if there's lightning within 8 or 10 miles of the fairgrounds, might want to shut everything down for at least a few minutes if that happens on Monday. But there will be dry time. There will be dry time. Angela, what's the current AQI, the air quality? Good question. Let me pull up the map. Hang on. It was back into the yellow territory earlier, which is fine for most of us. Yeah, it's in the green to yellow range, so it's fine. But it was in that category this morning. It was in the very unhealthy territory, which only happens when we have incredibly thick wildfire smoke from Canada or the western U.S., like insanely thick, or if we have an inversion that traps all the smoke from the 4th of July fireworks. And sure enough, that's what happened last night. That AQI right now is 61. Earlier today, it was 261, which was borderline on hazardous, don't go outside kind of air quality. But thankfully, that has since improved. So, yeah, there's that. And, well, it's summer. That's right. That's that's all you can say with our 10-day. I say it's ho-hum, not because it's not going to be busy. There will be storms to track for sure, but there's no days that scream severe weather. There's no alert days. Temperatures are near average. Like you said, Ann, it's summer. It's just July, right? It is what it is. Let's see. Brandon's got a softball game Tuesday evening. Can we play? There will be some storms, Brandon, so we'll have to keep an eye on radar. It's a 30% chance, so that means there will be more dry time than stormy time, but we'll have to watch that as we get towards Tuesday evening. We don't have specific high-resolution models to look at for Tuesday yet. But I will say the higher storm chances Tuesday will likely be in Kentucky as opposed to Indiana, thanks to that front being closer to I-64 on Tuesday. But once it lifts back north, that's when we get those 40% storm chance days versus 20 or 30%. All right, guys, that's going to do it for tonight. Appreciate y'all tuning in. I will be back on the old school television on Wave News at 11 tonight. So if you're still up, we invite you to tune in. If not, no worries, sleep well. I'll be back here tomorrow night, here on Wave Weather Now, around the same time, 7:15. And I'll be on the TV as well throughout the day tomorrow. And I like your spirit here. 4.5 months till we put up the tree, light it up, and pray for snow. I don't know about that second part, personally. I know, a lot of you are Bots fans. I get it. But I'm just ready for the cooler temperatures. That's for sure. Cat hair proud. Did I miss the tie count report? No, I forgot to tell you all. I think it was Kelly on Facebook that asked how many ties I own. And last week I said last time I counted was 95. Well, Monday, while it was still fresh on my mind, I went into my closet and I counted all the ties that I own. And we are now up to 105. So I've gained about 10 ties in the last year. So there you go. 105. 105. Now, some of them I can't wear on TV because they're green. And you guys know we do the weather on the traditional newscast in front of a green screen. So some of them I can't wear on TV, but I'd say I can probably wear 97 of them if I really wanted to. But 105, that's the tie count, in case y'all are wondering. Tune in next year and I'll give you another update. All right, guys, that's going to do it for tonight. Appreciate y'all watching. Stay cool. Enjoy the rest of your holiday weekend. I'll be back on TV tonight at 11, and we'll be back here on Wave Weather Now around 7:15 tomorrow evening. Take care. Talk soon. Bye.